My name's Steve Guttenberg. Joe, how are you doing?
Very well.
Joe, you've been asking me to come to your apartment for ages. It's for years you've been saying, Steve, you gotta come. And
Oh,
now
you're
I'm
here.
here. And now I know why you were so insistent on me coming. It's pretty... I've seen a lot of audio systems in my life. I've heard a lot of audio systems. I will never forget being here, I'll tell you that. It's
Thanks.
incredible. And what's really incredible is that so much of this stuff, we actually started your tour in your basement, in your shop, which is absolutely extraordinary. And we're going to shoot some of the video down there. But you made these speakers, right?
Yes.
Well, a lot of this is you.
Yes.
So let's start at the top. Maybe you should stand by me. You'll see what I'm pointing at. So let's start with that. That's the
big
mid-range
horn?
horn, yeah.
The big horn is a company called Sierra Brooks.
Uh-huh.
It was made in the Philippines probably 15 years ago.
Uh-huh.
They are since out of business.
Uh-huh.
And it's a Tratrix curve, and it's made out of solid mahogany. And it was turned on a gigantic lathe
Uh-huh.
over there somewhere in the Philippines.
And the driver?
This is a field coil classic audio field coil driver with beryllium diaphragm. It takes a 4-inch beryllium
Uh-huh.
true extent diaphragm,
Uh-huh.
and the driver weighs about 26 pounds, believe it or not. And it's all coil and powered by a power supply that's in the back of the speaker.
Right, you said it was a field coil. Right.
Yes, it takes between 12 and 20 volts.
Mm-hmm.
I run these at about 15.5 volts normally.
All right, and then coming down from there, this next driver.
The next driver over here is that's a custom field coil that was made by Jeffrey Jackson and Dave Slagle.
Uh-huh.
It uses a 3-inch beryllium JBL diaphragm.
Uh-huh.
And again, that's also a field coil, and there's another power supply in the back of the speaker. That's also ran at about 15.5 volts.
Uh-huh. And then this tweeter, this red tweeter.
The tweeter is a TAD ET703.
Uh-huh.
That's not what it generally looks like. That's an aluminum horn that I made.
Uh-huh.
And it was powder coated by Mel Gross, one of the guys in the club.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it's on a precision
Oh, right,
slide.
right.
It's on a precision slide, so all these drivers are all time aligned
Uh-huh.
physically.
Uh-huh. Wow. Then there's this rather large bass horn.
Yeah, this is the mid bass horn.
Right. This isn't the bass horn. This is the mid bass.
This is a mid bass horn.
Right.
This horn rolls off at 60 hertz
Uh-huh.
and goes up to about 450,
Uh-huh.
where it meets the mid range horn,
Okay.
the low mid range horn.
Uh-huh.
This goes from about 450 up to 5.5K.
All right.
This one goes from 5.5K up to 10K,
Mm-hmm.
and this goes from 10K up to bat territory, somewhere around 45K.
Uh-huh.
That goes up to, and it's all 6 dB crossovers,
Uh-huh.
passive crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
Inside this horn, which is like 34 by 44, has two Altec 515Bs.
Mm-hmm.
Which are very efficient.
How big are they? I can't.
They're 15-inch, but there's only the throats on them are 10 1/4 square basically.
Uh-huh.
So it's actually used as a compression driver.
Yeah. I didn't know they were compression drivers that big.
Well, they're not. They're just 15-inch drivers. All you see is 10 1/4.
Okay,
That's
okay.
all. But this is a horn. I made this with the help of Dr. Bruce Edgar.
Uh-huh.
I went over his house in California, and he sat down on a piece of paper, and I told him what I wanted, and he basically gave me the dimensions, and I fabricated the horn.
Mm-hmm. And you were telling me, how did you make the curve?
The curve is made out of multiple layers of 3/8 bendable plywood. I made ribs that have the curve.
Okay.
I made 4 or 5 ribs out of 3/4 inch plywood that matched this curve, and I cut the plywood out for the horn shape,
Right.
and bent them over and used a special epoxy to epoxy all the layers together. And it's finished off inside with oak veneer. It's a golden oak. The outside is a oak 5/16 wainscot. Is on the outside, so the horn is thick and rigid. It's about an 1.5 inches thick overall.
How heavy is it? Looks freaking heavy.
Oh, they're heavy. I made them right here in this room before it was finished. They were heavy. The box that the two 15s sit, that's about 3 inches thick all the way around, or with all Baltic birch. So it's very, very heavy. The metal work I welded, and just that tower where all these drivers sit probably weighs 100 pounds or more. And you know, it was a lot of work to do, but there's nothing else that beats, you know, in my opinion, you know, a full range horn system.
So then we got to get to the woofer. The
subwoofers.
The subwoofers, yeah.
The subwoofers are very special, and unfortunately they're not manufactured anymore. They were made by a company called TC Sounds. The model number is the LMS 5400s, and they have somewhere around 34 millimeter X-Max each. Each of these drivers weigh 83 pounds.
Excursion? Is that what you were just saying?
The Excursion on it, the Excursion is about 34 millimeters.
Okay.
And the magnet is 520 ounces. Like I said, 83 pounds each.
Right. And you have two of them because there's
one in the front and one in the back, and they work in dual opposed.
Right.
Which means that they work in tandem, and they cancel out each other's distortion and cabinet vibrations by doing that.
Because it's a sealed cabinet.
It's a sealed cabinet, and it's powered by this Crown iTech 5000 HD amp, which puts out, strapped to mono, because there's 2 amps, it's got to be over 3,000 watts per channel. And the reason why I used it, this thing has built-in EQ, DSP, everything. So this woofer goes straight down to 12 hertz at over 100 dB, and it rolls off at 60 dB at 48 dB per octave.
Nice.
These cabinets weigh, this sub weighs about close to 450 pounds. It's about 3 inches thick all the way around and braced on the inside. And it's on casters. The whole system, everything is on casters here, so I can roll it around. Because it's too heavy to really move, and you know, you'll scratch the floors and everything else. So, but all these enclosures have a heavy aluminum bar on the bottom with adjustable feet, so I can turn these and plant them, you know, firmly without moving if I want to. But I never felt a need to, even at the loudest levels. None of this stuff moves. I don't know what else.
And then your electronics.
Oh, the electronics. All right. Well, the start of it. This is a Carry SLP05 preamp. I modified it by taking all the electrolytics out and put all film caps in here. I replaced about 13 or 1400 microfarads in the power supply with 15 to 1600, I forget exactly, all film caps. I haven't got into here yet, but I'm going to get into there and replace the caps that are in there for even better sound. The CD player is a Modrite Sony 5400. It's got a separate power supply, two power supply, and it uses 2 6SN7s on the output of the CD. It's a fabulous sounding CD player. It plays CD, SACDs.
And the amplifier, you were playing this amp for me.
The amplifiers are made by Jack Iliano from Electroprint. These are custom made. They have a silver-plated wire on the output transformers, and these were specially made for high wattage use. One tube on this gives 36 watts a channel because there's 1200 volts on the plate. Most 845s use 8, 9, 1,000 volts. These are 1,200 volts on the plate, and it's got a big power supply in there. So these amps run the entire horn system, 6 dB per octave, like I said before, and the sub is totally separate with the crown amplifiers.
So do you know the sensitivity of the entire speaker system?
The nearest we could figure out, it's somewhere between 106 and 108 dB 1 watt. But it takes more than what people, with that sensitivity, you would think you get away with the half watt, like everybody talks about. It's just not true. You need some wattage to keep control of those woofers, the Altec 515s. And when you take in consideration losses in the crossover components and everything, it takes more wattage than most people that think, because it is a high sensitivity system. Like I said, 36 watts is plenty. This will play till you have to jump out the back window of a building.
Right.
So even at low volume, I mean, it puts out a very big, full stereo sound that you just don't get with regular speakers.
Now, a lot of people who watch my YouTube channel, whenever I go into people's homes, they always talk about room treatments. They're obsessed with room treatments. But you've actually done a lot. I mean, I'm going to point to the ceiling now. You did this. That's extra cool.
Okay. As far as the room goes, everything that I knew at the time went into this room. This room was totally gutted. I made the doors. The doors are 2.5 or 2 3/4 inches thick. They have all special, there's loaded vinyl and other sound treatment inside the door. Both doors, the outside and this is the secondary door here. All the sheeting, the outside sheeting, the house was built in 1897. So there's real 2x4s and, not what they call 2x4s today, which are, 1.5 by 3.5. These are real 2x4s. All the sheeting was coated with an auto spray that cuts down the vibrations of the metal of the car from these big systems that they put in there. Then there's special foam and fiberglass inside each of the cavities, and all the beams were stripped with loaded vinyl, and then 3/4 inch plywood was screwed down to the beams. Then there's 3 layers of sheetrock with green glue in between. So it's because of where I live. You got the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway right in front of the house. You can't hear anything in here.
No, it's super quiet.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I did it. There's a double glass panel up against the windows, which we don't open, on top of the Anderson windows that are there to keep additional sound out. The floors, all the floorboards were screwed down. They're not what you see here, but the original floorboards were screwed down with 2.5 inch wood screws. Every foot, every board is screwed down. Then 3/4 inch plywood was glued and screwed down on top of the floor. And then this is a 3/4 inch Brazilian cherry that's been put down with a
really beautiful
with a special glue called Sika. Anybody who does flooring probably knows about it. It's a very elastic, almost a silicone-like glue that allows the floor to actually move a little bit. And it's also for sound dampening. It's actually known as a sound dampener, just that glue alone. So a lot of work went into the room. I knew I was going to have a big system. I didn't know I was going to have a big horn system.
Right.
But having heard it at a CES show about 8 or 10 years ago from Dr. Bruce Edgar, I was going to have planar magnetics, a big planar magnetic system here, but the horns just did
I didn't
things.
realize. So this whole system started around 10 years ago.
The planning for it started about 10 years ago. This system's been in existence for probably about 5 years now.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, because of going to the show, I realized that I wanted a horn system. And that's when I started formulating the plans. acquiring the horns. Talking to Dr. Bruce Edgar about the mid-bass horn, which that's the most complicated part of a horn system. The mid-bass, if you don't have a mid-bass horn, the system will never sound like a true horn system. It's very difficult to match the speed of these horn compression drivers with a sealed box or a vented box. You really need to have a front-loaded horn to get the maximum efficiency and the sound out of your system.
So there's all these speakers around the room. So you're going to eventually do a surround system for
eventually, it will be a surround system when I get around to it. I got a lot of other things I have to do.
But you said there's a screen up there. That's for
yeah. There's a screen. I could bring it down if you want.
No, that's okay.
But there is a 92-inch screen up there.
Okay.
And as far as the room treatment on top, these are Corning. In the 700 series, they make like from 700 to a 705. It's a rigid fiberglass panel. The lower the number, like the 700s, is the softest and most absorbent. So that's in the front over here. It's either 700 or 701. And these are like 702 above over here. And on the sides is like 704, just to break up the difference in the absorption of the different frequencies. And over here, these are what they call skyline diffusers.
Right.
If you look online, I made these out of cedar, and all the heights they look like they're random, but actually there's a formula that you have to follow if you want the basic diffraction of the sound that these things do.
I have one question though. How come you don't have any floor covering? No rug or anything? You don't need it with horns?
I haven't found the need. I don't get any echoes or any stray sounds from the floor. The floor is very rigid, and like I said, with that special glue that's underneath here, unless you play the organ at a loud volume, you can't really vibrate this floor. So I'm lucky in that sense.
I think we're going to go downstairs because Joe has this incredible shop in his basement. You said you lived in this house your whole life, right?
No, not here. I actually live 2 doors down.
Okay.
But we had this house since 1978.
Okay.
So, we've done a lot of work, over the years. And since I'm a retired police officer, for 28 years I'm out. So I've had plans. I was always into audio. For 40 years I've been an audiophile. So what you see here is a culmination of 40 years of playing with planar magnetics, electrostatics, all kinds of box speakers. And to me, this is the ultimate system.